Shortly after visiting Pastor Grant, I was at work when the weekend once again rolled around. One of the guys from another department asked if my wife and I would like to join them on a campout. They were planning a trip to Wohler Bridge at the Russian River, and they were going to stay until Sunday. We'd all be camping out under the trees, enjoying campfires, cooking outdoors, swimming in the river, and pretty much all the other fun stuff that goes along with campouts. Realizing we probably needed a break and knowing how much Susie loved the outdoors, I decided we'd tag along with them. I thought it might be just what we needed to get away and escape.
Michael arrived home and asked if camping for the weekend sounded like a good idea. He told me some of the guys, their wives, girlfriends, and kids were going to the river and asked if we wanted to come along. After all, the trauma of the alien stuff that had been going on, a camp out under the trees in the fresh air with other people sounded like a great release. I pulled some things together, then in no time at all, Michael, our daughter, and I headed to the car. On the way up, we stopped at the market and picked up some things for the trip, then we were off to the river. When we arrived, which was somewhere around 9 p.m., there was already a group of people there. They had a fire going, so we joined in, ate our deli sandwiches, and watched the older kids make s'mores. Afterwards, all the kids climbed into their sleeping bags, then turned in for the night, while the adults remained awake and sat around a fire for a bit longer.
Everyone began turning in for the night, leaving Susie and I the last ones awake. With the fire dwindling down, Susie asked, "Are you ready to go to bed?" Suddenly, a very uneasy feeling came about me, making me rise to my feet. The crickets grew silent as a very eerie stillness fell around us. Memories of the crickets silencing right before the beings came to me as a child in the atrium filled my head. Just then, like in the atrium, as a child, I felt a very odd presence and my defenses rose, and I quietly said, "Susie, do you hear that?" "Hear what?" she asked. "The silence," I replied. "The crickets. They were chirping, now they've stopped." "So," she said, "I heard a faint sound which sounded just like the one I heard when I was a kid while being chased from my dark room that night by the two orange spheres right after seeing the alien in the barn stall." So I asked, "Don't you hear that high-pitched fluttering sound?" Rising to her feet, she said, "Now that you mention it, I do hear something, but I don't know what it is." Hearing it all around us, I quietly ordered, "Come on, let's go, we're going home." "But we just got here," she said. "Why do you want to go so soon?" "I can't explain right now." "Quick, grab Angie and I'll grab the sleeping bags. We're leaving now." With the noise closing in on us, she became concerned and asked, "What is that sound?" Not having time to explain, I picked up the bags, then ordered, "Just grab the kid and let's go now."
I heard the noise Michael was talking about in the best way I could describe it. It sounded like a very high-pitched clicking, and it was growing louder by the second. I quickly grabbed our daughter, sleeping bag and all, and then began running up the trail towards the car. While running, the sound followed us, and I kept seeing a flashing haze of purple lights all the way back. It felt like someone or something was chasing us, but I couldn't say who or what it was. The purple flashing haze made the night sky and trail look like twilight or dusk, but that was impossible as it was somewhere around 1 or 2 in the morning, and twilight and dusk does not happen at this time. Michael kept telling me to move, 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 so that's what I did. I ran as fast as I could.
As we ran up the trail, I already knew what was chasing us, but I didn't want to let her know, as she would have just freaked out. All I could do was keep yelling, "Move, move, move." And as I glanced off to the sides of the trail, I could see the small orange spheres all over the place. Why she didn't notice them, I couldn't tell you, other than maybe I was the only one allowed to see them. During the mad dash, I kept waiting for them to do something like take me, and when I finally reached the parking lot, I began wondering why they didn't. It wasn't until a few moments later that I found out why I wasn't abducted. We both pulled out our car keys, unlocking the doors at the same time. The lights kept flashing all around us as I began to panic. Susie hurriedly placed her daughter into the car seat, then hopped into the passenger side. I already had the engine on and the car placed in reverse as she was closing the door. I placed my right arm on the seat backrest, then turned, looking toward the rear as I began backing. As I backed the vehicle, I glanced into the car seat behind me and frightfully noticed our daughter wasn't there. So turning towards Susie and seeing she wasn't holding her either, I yelled, "Where's Angie?" Susie looked at me puzzled, bewildered, then turned to reconfirm her daughter was there, then replied, "She's in the car seat, let's go." Turning back around, I saw Angie once again buckled into her seat. I knew right then a brief moment had passed when she wasn't there, and I also knew she'd been taken. She was only gone out of my sights for a flash, and it's all they needed in order to do whatever they wanted to do. This time shifting also explained all the noises and flashing of light which was going on around us. I witnessed this purple flashing of light one other time in my life, and was at the precise moment when my dad died. I believe what happened is our daughter was slipstreamed and only missing for an instant. This means they could keep her for hours, days, or weeks, but only be gone from us for a fraction of a second. The thought of this was frightening, and it freaked me out because for the first time in my life, I had absolutely no control over my kid, and that scared the hell out of me. It was one thing for them to take me, but taking my daughter was simply outlandish, and I couldn't handle the thought of it. I knew they had total control over time and kept her for as long as they wished, then returned her without me hardly noticing. She was only gone for a piece of a second according to my time, but could have been gone for who knows how long according to theirs. At that moment, I didn't tell Susie what I knew and decided to keep it to myself. The flashing lights stopped right as I slammed the car into drive, then floored it out of the parking lot. I raced down the dark country road heading towards River Road. Once on the River Road, I noticed a bright white light in the sky behind us, and it was chasing our vehicle down the road. I told Susie we're being followed, and we were. Susie, glancing behind us and also noticing the white light chasing us, ordered me to go faster. I stepped on it, but it didn't matter how fast I went, as the craft kept right up with the car, almost as if it were toying with me. It followed us all the way from Wohler Bridge down through the town of Fulton and didn't disappear until I reached the 101 freeway south. As soon as I hopped on the freeway, it vanished. For the life of me, I seriously believed sharing a campout with a bunch of friends would have been a great idea. I would never have thought that any of this could ever happen during such an innocent event. When I returned to work on Monday, everybody wondered where we went and didn't understand why we took off without even saying goodbye. They were curious why we just disappeared without anyone knowing and wondered why. I simply told them an emergency arose, so we left in a flash. They hoped everything was all right, and I assured them it was. The camping trip was the last one we ever took. From that day forward, we always insisted on motorhomes and trailers for any outdoor events. Ever since that trip, there's never been another great outdoor campout for either of us.